1-800-449-8255, baby. Oh, yeah, and you're about to rock hard here on the miserable, pathetic, disgustingly low down, worthless Clark the Shark phenomenon. It's not mere talk radio, baby. It's horrible, boring, disgustingly banal, yet brilliant Clark the Shark from the golden EIB Sharkraphone. It's not a microphone, you guys. No way is it a mere mortal microphone when I'm talking about heaven and hell, Black Sabbath. What an album this is, and where the fuck did this thing come from? Released in 1980, just a few days before Clark the Shark would turn 15 back in Torrance Redondo, the South Bay, California, Los Angeles County. And I remember being a little skeptical of, Ozzy was a, institution. And I loved those last two albums. And I would play them all the time. Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die. A lot of people are like, those albums suck, they're lame, they're horrible. But listen again to both, you guys. They're really good. On Technical Ecstasy, the lyrics are a little hokey, clumsy. You could tell the band was maybe getting too experimental or too weird for Black Sabbath. And then on Never Say Die, they made kind of this comeback where they brought it all back and they brought it all home, baby. Still experimental and weird. All the way along those lines, nevertheless. And somehow Ozzy just became a full-blown drug addict loser. Now, they were trying to record this album, and Tony Iommi describes it as a process that, just frustrating, took forever. You're just going in every day, cutting tracks and, take 78 kind of thing, That's what happens anytime you record with people on drugs, you guys. It's a fucking mindless, frustrating process that goes round and round forever. That's why me, Clark the Shark, I keep it sober for the most part, not always. Back in the day, I was mainly a beer and alcohol guy, beer, vodka. I would smoke a little bit of weed. And then when I would kind of give up on beer is when I began to smoke a lot of weed. Weirdly, in the 1990s, long after, the glory days of the Sharky in the 80s, when I was listening to stuff like this. But as I got older, in 95, I was 30. I had to quit alcohol because it was, making me fat and ugly. And, I was getting gray hairs when I was 30, you guys. I mean, who does that? So I was like, I'm going to smoke weed because I can still get high without being an alcoholic. And really, they're totally different highs. One just makes you go to sleep or gets your heart beating fast, and you're all just fucked up, and it ain't good. And then the other one does the same thing, but totally in different ways, like apples to oranges, and yet very much the same. They put you out of your mind. I think you're more creative on alcohol. I do. That's my view, Clark the Shark. If you can just smoke enough weed where you can get the creative thing in your brain going it might be okay. But if you do too much of that shit, it really fucks you up, and then you're just good for nothing. And Ozzy probably was doing everything when they tried to record this album. And, he just drifted away, you guys. And it was a bummer, but it had to be, because this Dio guy came along. And then you know how the story goes. I think Sharon Osbourne introduced him. And then later they met up with some freak meeting at a club in LA, like the Rainbow or the Whiskey or, the Troubadour or some shit, where just one in a million Iommi runs into Dio. And they're like, hey, let's talk about this project. Yeah, we might do. And they started saying originally they were going to work on this other band with a different name and the whole bit. But instead, I guess they agreed we're going to keep Sabbath going. But with the guy from like Rainbow or, who was with Richie Blackmore. And me, Clark the Shark, I'm like, thank God Almighty above that they did, because this album's incredible. Now, I like all the Sabbath albums with Ozzy a lot. They get hokey and weird at the end, but here it's apples to bananas or something. I don't know what they were doing. And this thing just comes out of left field, just out of nowhere, you guys. And it's fucking amazing. All the songs are great. I want you to buy this album if you're only 15 years old. You tell them you heard it from Clark the Shark, because I was listening to this thing way back in the day. And I would go down to the Carmody's house down by the park, El Retiro Park in Torrance. And they had this album in there. I think Tom Carmody, who wasn't in the band I was in. That was Ted Rick, the guy with the big bun of red hair. He was the bassist of GE, the Greenhouse Effect. But me and Tom actually formed a little musical project about 1979, 80, 81, where we were recording together, and I was playing like an acoustic guitar. This is long before GE, not long before Clark the Shark recorded songs. But it kind of gave me some footing. Like, it gave me a little start where we had a tape recorder and me and Tom would record songs. And I remember listening to this album about the same time. And then later, me and Ted would record songs on like a tape recorder where we had bikes set up where the bike seats were drums and I had drumsticks, and we would record the bike seats and they sounded kind of like drums. We didn't have any cymbals. I think maybe just one trash can lid, like for a cymbal. And then we would sing, and he would play like bass or guitar or something. I can't remember. But weird little side story. There was a drugstore that opened up at this place down in Torrance/Redondo at Pacific Coast Highway and Prospect. And Tom went up there to that drugstore and met a girl. I'm not kidding, you guys. The Lord did it. It was meant to be. And I always wonder to this day, like, me, Clark the Shark, I probably could have met that same girl or another girl up there at that drugstore. But I would go up there and it was like Charlie Brown or something. Like, I would get a fortune cookie that said, "Forget it, kid." Or, when like Lucy pulls the ball away from Linus or Charlie Brown, I can't remember, but that was Clark the Shark. I think the place was called Drug Emporium or Commissary Mart, or there was always a different business forming at that place next to the liquor store at Prospect and PCH in Redondo. They could never make businesses work there for very long, probably because of the high rent here in California. The greedy high rent, or maybe the high rent is necessary because of interest rates. I don't know. I could be right or wrong, Clark the Shark, but I know everything is as expensive as fucking hell here in California. We got 8-9 people living together now. and it seems to be intentional, if you will, and if you know what I mean, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. But I'm not talking about high rent or people getting married or, people having sex down in a room in Torrance or any of that here on the Clark the Shark Show today. I'm talking about Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, because this album really does describe our life here on Earth in the Matrix simulation. It's not really a matrix, it's a sharkulation, because I'm just playing a joke on all of you right here from the golden EIB sharkerphone here on the Clark the Shark Show, where I love these angels. They're like, we're gonna take a break, Sharky. We're not guarding you right now. We're playing cards and we're taking a little break, having a smoke. I'm like, I hope angels don't really do this. And Iomi and Dio are like, I'm sorry, Sharky, but look at the world. They do this. And I'm like, I thought the Lord said the guardian angels are always like working. And like I found out from Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, they're not. They're taking a smoke break, having a coffee, playing cards, just like everyone else, just like we all do right here on the Clark the Shark Show. And what can you do, you guys? It's true. The Lord God above, or whoever it is, I hope it's the Lord, created a free will matrix here where he like put us in a glass enclosure with a venomous reptile, like who's that guy on here? He feeds mice to snakes, and the snakes will either strangle the mouse, and if they can't do that, then they bite the mouse with venom, they envenomate the mouse, and then the mouse quivers and stretches out, and then it dies. That's us. The cage is a little bigger. We don't know where the snake is, but he's there. And sometimes we keep away from that snake. We're like the mouse. And we hope these angels are protecting us from the snake. But look what they're doing. They're like playing cards here on the Clark the Shark Show. I'm like, man, Lord, that's kind of cruel. You give us some angels, and sometimes they're playing cards. And they're just smoking, and oh, well, Little side note, the guy Tom, Ted's brother, as I was alluding to a moment ago, him and the girl from Drug Emporium had a baby. And I remember the girl was like really big and everything, like pregnant. We're hanging out down at the park one day, and life was just passing me by, Meteor. Little old Clark the Shark. I didn't even know how to drive a car. Like, I couldn't even get to the DMV or do anything. Who knows, like when the planet's treating you like shit, or your older brothers are treating you like shit, or your dad's treating you like shit, you're going to turn to shit like drugs and alcohol, or just being a douchebag at 1-800-449-8255. That's just the way it goes. And you might find yourself listening to a little Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath right here on the Clark the Shark Show. Me, yours truly, your humble servant, DJ MC, the Sharky, the Sharkadoodle-doo, the Sharkalama Ding Dong, baby. Right here from that golden EIB sharkerphone. It's not a microphone, you guys. It's a sharkerphone, solid gold, because I'm talking about Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath. Now, Ronnie James Dio, who, in my view, Clark the Shark, I think he's just the greatest singer. He blows Ozzy away, and yet you can't compare the two. They're totally different, you guys. Ozzy's got this shrill, whiny, screechy, really annoying voice, and yet it sounds really good. You know how there's some people like Geddy Lee from Rush, or Neil Young, or the guy in REO Speedwagon, or David Bowie. They got weird voices. Maybe Robert Plant of Zeppelin. They got annoying voices. John Lennon's another candidate, you guys. They don't have a beautiful voice like Dionne Warwick or Harry Nilsson, you guys. they're just a disgusting, horrible voice. Ozzy is that way. He's very unique. It's very like weird the way he sings or something. It's almost like you just like, shut up, dude. You can't. Oh, you're horrible, and yet you love it because it's so artistic. And it's different, you guys. Different is good. You know, so there's some guys like Rick Emmett of Triumph where the voice is like perfect and you get sick of it. You're like, you know, it just sounds, it's good, it's great, blah, blah, but I'm just sick of it. Now, Ozzy isn't like that. You might get sick of it because it's annoying, and yet it's artistic, it's creative, and it's interesting. Well, Dio is not that way at all. Dio is powerful, kick-ass lead singer who's incredible, unbelievably talented. I would say me, Clark the Shark, my voice is kind of like that. It's good voice. It's not really, it is unique and all that and different, but I'm kind of a typical singer, you know, not like Ozzy, or Geddy Lee or, you know, Neil Young or someone with a weird voice. My voice isn't really weird. It's really good. Dio, his voice is really good, but it's powerful. You know, it's really got this baritone, mid-range, this bass, this power in it that's so strong. It's not like me, Clark the Shark. My voice is kind of shrill. Dio has power all over his lead singing, you guys. It's professional pipes. It's trained. It's expert. And in that, you get kind of sick of it or something. And in some weird way, this album, great as it is, you get kind of like, you hear it and you're like, yeah, the songs are great, blah, blah. It's got that thing like Triumph or something, or Zebra, where you're just kind of, yeah, it's great. It's fucking great. But okay, it's great. I got it. It's like that, you guys. And yet, that being said, this album is so classic. So many great anthems all over this weird album that comes out of nowhere. And coming after Never Say Die, weird, because that album was so experimental and strange, and this album isn't. This album is straight up kick-ass heavy metal hard rock, every song, you guys. And in that, that's the one thing I don't like about this album. Everything else about this album I love. The pure power and sheer brilliance that is all over this thing, you guys. I don't care what the stars give it. Not really, you know. Gets a long write-up here at Wikipedia. And I did buy this album, you guys, back in the day. I had it. You know, not a Rhodium or type of copy from the Torrance Rhodium or Go Boy Records or Zed Records. I bought this, you guys, with the plastic on it, you know. And I might have even also bought this on CD. Because, you know, as the 80s were booming, I started buying a lot of CDs, you guys, and this was one of them. All Music, 4.5. That might be accurate, you guys. Rolling Stone, 4 out of 5. Rolling Stone also gave this a bad review, like in the day, you guys. They got it wrong again. Sputnik Music of 5. Drowned in Sound. I want to call it Crowned in Sound. 8 out of 10. Martin Popoff, whoever that is, 10 out of 10, you guys. Clark the Shark would give this like a 9 out of 10. 4.5 out of 5, you guys. Maybe, depending on my mood, it might get, you know, a 10 out of 10 for me. But right now I'm in a mood to give it a 9 out of 10, you guys. But Neon Nights, the opening song, baby, that's a 10 out of 10. 353, it's like a hit song, a killer song, a meat and potato song. It's up-tempo, it's upbeat, it's fucking kicking ass. Neon Nights, it doesn't get any more melodic than that, baby. That's fucking incredible. Greeting you where you're like, holy shit, is this album going to be all this fucking awesome? Guess what, you guys? It will be. Children of the Sea, 534. Amazing. Dude, that might be my favorite song on the album, Children of the Sea. But then Lady Evil, I don't know why it's not lit up in blue, you guys. You all know that's fucking awesome. And of course, Heaven and Hell, the title track, one of the greatest songs ever. I would say side one of the greatest sides of an album ever. You guys, flat out, awesome. Maybe a little too obviously great or something. Like one of those albums, kind of like Who's Next by The Who, where you're like, yeah, it's great, blah, blah. It's really fucking great. Wow. You know, when things are great, they're like that. They're, you know, it's like eating too much of your favorite ice cream. And they're like, here, Sharky, have more. And I'm like, dude, cookies, cream, and chocolate chunks. Give me more. And then you just fucking eat too much till your stomach hurts and you're vomiting. But it's like, dude, you're vomiting on the ground and you're just fucking puking blood, and you wait 15, 20 minutes and then you go back and you want to eat more ice cream of Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, Lady Evil, and Heaven and Hell. And then you might even get a tummy ache again and fucking start puking again. You just want more of this fucking shit. It's so good, you guys. It's fucking awesome. Nothing lit up in blue, you guys, on side two, but Wishing Well, Die Young, Walk Away, and Lonely Is the Word. I'm serious, you guys. Side two is just as good as side one. You might agree or disagree. You might say, Sharky, I'm sick of side two. Yeah, I've heard it all. It sounds okay. I got the general idea. Not me, not Clark the Shark. I like it all, you guys. Especially if you're on weed. I don't do any drugs or alcohol since 1995, you guys. I quit alcohol. And since like 2001, I quit weed. Little side note here. A lot of people from the 80s days, they email me and they're like, Sharky, you were never really a weed guy. You only took a few hits and then, you know, you went to sleep. I don't know why people say shit like this. It's just that I didn't smoke as much weed as all of you in the South Bay. Plus, you know, I was a singer, you know, a drummer. I had to have stamina. I didn't want some shit ruining my voice, you know, for lead singing with GE, the fabulous greenhouse effect, you guys. You know, I had to have pipes, baby. I didn't want to smoke Huff corporates, you know, Marlboro Reds and smoke weed. That fucking shit will fuck up your singing. Come on, you know that. But I did, you guys, and I would. You know, there's some people that are like, I remember Sharky. I think a lot of you just smoke so much weed, you drink so much, you did so many drugs back in the South Bay that you don't remember. Or maybe your memory is blurry or something. You guys, there's something wrong. But, if you try to email me and say, Sharky, you didn't drink that much, then everyone will know you're fucking full of shit. Because I drank a lot. Come on, you guys. My brother is Paulie from the Jades. Hello? You know, ring a bell. Knock, knock. My family has the drinking DNA gene. Or I don't believe in drinking as a disease, you know, like AA or NA and all that shit. Or churches, you know, try to teach you like, oh, you got a disease. You drink alcohol. It's a disease that runs in the family. I don't believe it's like that, you guys. You choose to do it, and you can choose to quit. And so too did I, Clark the Shark, back in 1995. I quit drinking one day cold turkey, and I never drank again, you guys. And it's been a long ass time ago now, almost 30 years. And I will admit later on, smoking pot was harder to quit. But I quit it in 2001, you guys. I never did that shit again. One day I made up the decision where I got with a chick, my wife here. with me right now. And I said, I'm not going to smoke this shit anymore. I'm going to get rid of it. And I never touched it again, you guys. And the only drug I do since 2001 is generic sleeping pills that I buy at Stater Brothers, Vaughn's, Ralph's, Albertsons. Maybe real Sominex once in a while, but usually generic, Target up and up, or, Walmart type of shit. And that's it, you guys. No weed, no alcohol, no drugs, nothing. Totally clean and sober, butt dry sober, me, Clark the Shark. And I heard someone died last night, you guys, up in Orange County or something. I want to say rest in peace. I'm not sure right now. I got to talk to Metal Jimmy to confirm and make sure. I'm not going to name names, but it's very sad if they did. And I'm guessing it was fent, you guys, fentanyl. That stuff sucks. And I want to advise all you who do drink, smoke weed, and do coke, remember the lesson learned of the 3 comedians in Venice. Don't do cocaine because it might have fent in it. If you guys are coke heads and you like that shit, look out, baby. Every drug from heroin to you name it now is laced or cut with that shit, and you could end up dead doing it right here on the Clark the Shark Show from the golden EIB sharkerphone, not a microphone, baby. It's a sharkerphone because it's better than Hush Bimbo. It's better than Hannity and Howard Douchebag and Mark Levin and Rick Dees in the morning, and Kevin and Bean, or Kevin and Stryker, or Kevin and Spago, or Kevin, whoever, you guys. 1-800-449-8255. I'm just better, you guys, better than everybody. The delivery is smoother, cleaner. I might stutter a little, but that's because I used to smoke weed and drink, you guys. So don't do it. If you don't want to stutter just a little here and there like Clark the Shark, I recommend don't do any drugs, you guys. Knock it off. It's bad. It might have fent in it. Don't fucking do it. Instead, listen to Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell with Dio. Now, sadly, they wouldn't last with Dio very long here, just a couple albums, and I'm going to review the next album after this because it's just as good, you guys. Maybe not as good as this, but pretty close. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show. Yeah, you guys know the one I mean. And then weirdly now, the album after that with Ian Gillan from Deep Purple is probably the best Black Sabbath album ever recorded, but I'm going to keep that as a surprise, you guys, for later. That's a little tidbit. I will review that one too, and it's fucking incredible right here on the Clark the Shark Show. But buy this album right here at Spotify, Amazon, iTunes. I am recommending that you do. Me, yours truly, Clark the Shark, especially if you're a young person who's only 15 years old here in 2024, and you were born in 2009, 8 years after 9/11, when Mohammed Atta and those Al-Qaeda terrorists flew those jets into the World Trade Center. That's right, you guys, New York, right here on WABC Radio, me, Clark the Shark. I want you to never forget 9/11, even if you weren't even born, you weren't even here. You don't even remember it. You have no memory of it. You've only seen it on YouTube and Vimeo and TikTok or some documentary, some rockumentary, baby. You only need one rockumentarian, and that's me, Clark the Shark, where you just got the only review that you will ever want or you will ever need of Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. Incredible, you guys. This takes me back to Redondo Beach and Torrance and Hermosa Beach, riding a Strand Cruiser all the way down to Venice Beach with my Walkman headphones and listening to this incredible album, you guys. I loved it. I don't know if you can go to Venice Beach now. There's homeless everywhere because the rent's $8,000 a month everywhere. And we got 9 people from El Salvador all living together now, and all driving cars with a driver's license given to them by your friends at the Democratic Party. And 2, by the Republicans here in California because they like the cheap labor, as the Dems lack the cheap vote. That's right. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, you guys. Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath. Buy this album and get all their albums, you guys. I love Ozzy too, but right now, at the time of this album, it wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't his time. And later on, of course, they would get back together with both lead singers. Now might be the opportunity for them to get back with Ian Gillan, you guys, and revisit the album, baby, Born Again era. It's awesome. I would love to see it. I doubt it's going to happen. I think he's pretty much committed to Deep Purple, but that would fucking be awesome, baby. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show. Make sure you buy this album. And I'm out of here. Peace.